Welcome back to the Teacher's AI Cafe. I'm Kane, a teacher and a parent who wants AI to give us back our time. I share practical classroom-tested AI strategies to cut down your workload, improve your feedback and reduce stress so you can get your evenings back and be more present with your friends and family. No jargon, just actionable steps. Grab your mug. Now let's get going. I'd like to welcome a really special episode today. We've got Julie here, a colleague of mine in my area of careers, joining me today to talk about her journey. We've worked together in the past, actually presented together about AI for career practitioners, and she'll expand more on that, plus the other work she's been doing, which is fantastic. So certainly, welcome, Julie.
Hi, thanks for having me, Kate.
Yeah, thank you for joining me today. So tell us a little bit about your teaching context and what brought you up to your AI journey.
Okay, I've been a career practitioner for 4 years. Prior to that, I worked in a public school in the CBD, Leafy Green in Perth, and I was there for about 13 years. I came into teaching late. I have an IT background, originally an IT degree. So I started at the school in Perth as an IT teacher, and eventually, because I didn't start till I was in my 40s, I had quite a varied career in recruitment and personnel and IT and business development. So I slipped into the careers area in careers teaching and eventually in the workplace learning space.
Yeah.
So it was a natural progression to apply for the career practitioner roles when they came out. And I accepted a role. I left my school. I've been 13 years, took a role up in the Northwest, which was a big change, from a Leafy Green Earth school to a public school at 30% Indigenous population in remote, like a regional town.
Yeah.
A large school, but a lot of Indigenous students, which I wasn't used to, but I was looking forward to. My experience was, as I said, career education, which I really enjoy. And I've enjoyed working with Clontarf and Stars up the regions.
Yeah.
Getting to know local industry and the difference between that a metro school.
Yeah, interesting for our foreign viewers or listeners. Half of them are overseas and a lot are over east. What do we mean by Leafy Green? What is the Leafy Green School?
It's like a upper class, upper in an expensive area, not a posh area, but more.
I guess more professional. Yeah, higher income areas.
Like the students at my previous school, like 95% of them were doing ATAR.
Yes.
I think they had about a 50 or 60% Asian population. So they're all aspiring doctors and engineers, and quite different behaviour management issues. Pretty much no behaviour management issues, or very little, compared to a regional school or a school with a lower SAS profile.
Yes, my school's like that. Yes. And also the programs which people don't know, Stars at Clontarf. Clontarf,
most people would be aware, is a program to engage Indigenous young men and boys. A lot of it focuses around relationships, sport, engagement, just getting them to school is a big part of that. A lot of the Clontarf staff, they have a Clontarf team and a Stars team within the school that operate independently. They have their own classrooms, and quite a Clontarf and Stars staff will actually go out, pick students from school, give them breakfast, sometimes put them in a school uniform, and work really closely with the families to engage students, get them through school, and that's basically, and emotional support as well.
Yeah, we have a Stars at our school. It's good. We often overlap in our career programs because they do their own career contacts, which is we leverage and build on top of that. But yeah, they're very helpful in getting my Aboriginal students engaged in my programs as well. Because I've got those contacts being Aboriginal themselves, and I've got those relationships which we can build on as teachers. Cool. So you talked a bit about, obviously, listening to your background, a bit like me. I was 40, I think, as well when I became a teacher as a late career one. So obviously you've been really confident with technology coming into being a teacher throughout, I guess, before you became a career practitioner using AI. So is it just all the standard Office suites, or did you try some different things in that journey that you brought to your students?
Because the first 3 years of being a career practitioner, I didn't have any time to have classes, which is a bonus. But in the last year, I was given a class of foundation, career and enterprise students, which was absolutely fantastic. So I had 21 students, 20 were Indigenous, all disengaged. Probably the average attendance would be 8 students. Usually the 8 students, some had come and go. And I guess they weren't really particularly interested in any IT. They're more like hands-on kind of kids. They like hunting, shooting, fishing, fixing cars, getting out on country. But I think when it came to my focus was possibly, sure, the curriculum, which you have to do, but it was more giving them life skills and skills that these students were in year 12, so I only had them for 3 times. So the main thing for me was getting them job ready and confident and work experience, any sort of other skills, tickets and things like that they could get, but giving them the confidence and the skills to be able to apply for a job, identify a job and sell themselves. Because once they're in the workplace, they get a lot of support, but it's actually getting them motivated enough to apply for jobs and be able to sell themselves. So I basically introduced them to Copilot, which they all had access to. I did try to, with Gemini Forms, create a form which they could fill out, build a cover letter.
Yes.
That basically they could just fill in the gaps and it would generate a unique cover letter for them. But the students didn't have access to Gemini through the school platform. And they pretty much were going to do it at home.
Yeah.
So we basically reverted that to Copilot. And for me, a lot of these students are not very literate. I wouldn't say they're illiterate, but their level is quite low.
Yes.
And the self-confidence isn't there either. So I found helping students learn how to write prompts and talk to Copilot was really leveling factor for them in that it brought them up to everybody else. It really, from an equity standpoint, it really enabled them to sell themselves, address what they're looking for. So we did the usual look at a job, address that. When you're writing your Word document or when you're writing a cover letter.
Yeah.
And it really gave them a lot of confidence. So I guess from that point of view, it's teaching students how to write prompts.
Yes. Yeah. I find, I guess, initially before, obviously voice wasn't available when it first came out. I'm not memory is a couple other way. So I think literacy is so key to using AI for anyone, even especially professionals. And that's why I think humanities have a big advantage to be able to write really well. But I guess, what was it like before, I guess, the voice activation to when they could actually verbally talk about what they want to write? Was that a big change in their confidence and their usage of it?
Sometimes with these students, they're quite shy.
Yeah.
I can remember doing, with some students, I would do practice mock interviews with them before an actual job interview, Rio Tinto or somebody like that. And we might do a mock interview 5, 6 times.
Yeah.
Because I'd say, tell me about yourself.
Yes.
And they wouldn't know how to talk about themselves. So just with practice, we would, what do you like to do on the weekend? Tell me about your family. What are your hobbies? Where you see yourself in 5 years? What do you like to do? And I'd say to them, do you like hairdressing? Do you like online shopping? Do you like fishing? Do you like, and just do you play guitar? Do you like art? Do you draw? And eventually they're like, no, I like working on my car. Do you do it on your own? Do you do it with your dad? Oh no, my uncle's got a Land Cruiser and we work on that every weekend. Oh, what have you done on it? And then start getting these stories. And then eventually they can say, hi, my name's Joe Blogs. I like working on my car on the weekend. I've got a Land Cruiser that I've been doing up with my uncle. We've replaced this. We've put a light bar in. We've changed the tyres. We've done blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And they start to fill out the personality. They become a lot more animated. And they just learn to sell themselves and talk about themselves.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Body language and being relaxed. And sometimes you'd have to do this 4 or 5 times before they can just, just talk it through. But it really makes a big difference. And I know that a couple of interviewers have said afterwards, wow, that was an excellent interview with that student. They get the jobs.
Yes.
Because, and they're not lying. They're not making up stories. They're just having the confidence of being able to know what to say, when to say it, what they're interested in.
Yeah, that's really cool. So is that the only thing you've done AI with the students, or is there anything else that you've done with them?
Look, I get them to research and
Yes.
write out with my students, write out potential interview questions.
Yes.
Give me 10 interview questions that I could be asked in a job application as a fitter and turner for whatever company. You might think, oh, doing the cover letters is a 1 or 2 lesson process. It's really not.
No.
I would do that with them every week for 6 months, like once a week for 6 months. It takes for them to get the confidence and the skills. And I'm not saying it would be like that with everybody. Some kids pick it up straight away. But with this group of students, they really needed a lot of scaffolding and a lot of, because they could just write, I'm a Year 12 student, this school.
Yes.
I want a job as a fitter and turner, and you get 10 letters all the same.
Exactly.
And you're all applying for the same job. They need to be able to differentiate, turn that into a strong application, especially the ones with lower literacy, and also writing things like in simple language, in the first person, this is me, this is who I am, now write me a cover letter, because otherwise the cover letter is going to be way too professional and in language they don't understand. So I would say with that class, that was the main use AI with.
I'll bring out
it's the most practical.
Yes. I'll add one question. Was actually when we presented, one of the other career practitioners asked, are you giving by using AI, they raised it, that isn't fair to other people. And what's your view on that question? Okay, you're using AI, and I think that's wonderful, but what about all the poor students that aren't? Do you think you're giving your students an unfair advantage in getting these jobs over other students?
I believe, but with these students are behind the ball in the first place. They don't have good. They don't know that parents. They don't encourage. A lot of them are discouraged from applying for jobs by people in their community, and they don't have a parent at home that can sit down with their internet and help them write a cover letter, or have a friend in another industry that can give them a letter. It's not what you know, it's who you know. It's actually making things more equitable for disadvantaged students. At the end of the day, they still don't have to go for a job interview. And I think as far as closing the gap with Indigenous students and students that are disadvantaged, it's really helping them. And the thing is, look, private schools in Perth have been training their teachers face-to-face and giving their students access to AI from the get-go 3 years ago. We are so behind the times, it's not funny. So I believe that it's just giving them opportunities, and it's flattening equity.
Definitely agree with you there. And it is a tool to be used. And as you said, they've got to get through the job interview. And you hear about jobs. I know a colleague applied for a government job and had something like 400 applications for a single government job. And this is a written selection criteria. And they interviewed 10 people out of that, which is a huge number to interview as well. But as I said, getting that first step in the door and trying to stand out is really hard. And obviously the biggest obstacle for people, student or not, actually trying to get in the door, I think, of a new job. But you've got to pass the interview. And then that's where they make that final assessment. But that extra advantage getting through, I think, is something which you teach our students to use to actually make that transition. I guess in a professional sense, how you actually using in your role as a career practitioner. So moving away from the students, what has changed, or how has AI changed maybe your workflow or practices, or what you can potentially do?
Okay, so as a career practitioner, I can't tell you how many selection criteria of a staff I have built for staff as well, because I found the whole selection criteria process, it's not a true reflection. We all know people who can write a great selection criteria and not do the job as well as somebody else. So to me, it's just a process you have to go. And it's not, to me, particularly indicative of that person's suitability or skill.
Yes.
But I guess that's that's the system. So you just have to suck it up,
Yes.
go with it. But as a career practitioner, oh my goodness, I use it so much. So, for example, up in the regions, there are things called a regional economic development grant, a RED grant, which schools can't apply for, but industry can apply for, and it's up to $250,000. If they're an Indigenous organisation, get the full 250. If they're not, have to match
Yeah.
up to 250. So knowing that we couldn't apply for it, I wanted these students that were TAFE, that probably weren't going to get their WACE, that had no work experience.
Yes.
So they're pretty much leaving year 12 with nothing paper anyway. So I went to the show and tell for the Red Grant Roadshow. And at the end of it, when they said, has anyone got questions? This school, we have a lot of disinformation. I would like a local RTO to deliver free training for our students, working at heights, working at confined spaces, tickets,
All the different tickets here.
telehandlers and white cards and stuff like that. And I want you to do it for free. And a guy stood up and said, let's have a coffee afterwards. And one thing led to another. And he applied for a grant to expand his space and get some more equipment.
Okay.
And he now offers free training for up to 12 students every month to get as many tickets as they want. So they can end up getting about 6 tickets.
That's
So
good.
it's been really successful. Now, when he applied for that, we had a couple of face-to-face meetings, and I showed him how to use ChatGPT or Gemini
Yes.
to write it. And he was like, oh my God. So we just basically pasted or attached the grant rules and regulations and he wrote his little spiel, and it just, obviously the first draft you get is not the end result, but yeah, he used it to apply for that and was successful. I also wrote a grant to Rio Tinto to put in a drone program at the school 3 years ago, and we ended up getting $250,000 to run a Cert 3 in civil aviation and the commercial drone pilot's license.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
15 students every year did that over 2 weeks. So the company Perth fly their trainers up to our town and spend 2 weeks with the students, and that was really successful. The other thing, because I do work closely with Stars and Clontarf, and a lot of the Stars and Clontarf students are less digitally aware and skilled than the main cohort,
Yes.
is I said and I would work with these students doing career activities with them. And I said to Stars and Clontarf managers, it'd just be so much easier if I could just come into your space and work with them here rather than you bring them down to the library. That takes 20 minutes and they've all got to log on. And you get 40 minutes with them. It's a waste of time. You really need your own laptops up here. So I wrote an application for them to apply through the school finance committee. And now they've both got 15 laptops in their offices, in their classrooms in Stars and Clontarf. Now, that was just done on ChatGPT, probably took half an hour.
Right. And I guess there was a while ago. Imagine given the advancement in models, how much better the answers actually would be today as well. Because obviously models are...
The changes in it and how it's more intuitive is unbelievable. Actually, I was just talking to someone about this the other day, where it was 2 or 3 years ago and where it is now. It's amazing.
Yes. I know, as I was chatting to a colleague, that because I've got, as a teacher, as my profile in ChatGPT, everything I query's got a educational context questions at the bottom in relation to how it related to the classroom, which is quite interesting. But I guess with Gemini, they've got all the gems now, so you can have all those very quickly different personalities. You can make individual gems for different roles or focuses that you actually want to do when you're doing those prompts, which is quite nice. So to be able to customize it to the degree you can now and get that consistent answer out of them in my context is a big change compared to the early days. You could do yourself as a world expert grant writer and things like that, and it'll give you such good answers in relation to that every time you open it up and run something through it.
Oh, look, it just removes a lot of barriers. You might have a good idea and think, oh my God, we never got the time to write that. It just removes that barrier that stops you having these good ideas becoming a reality. The other thing I was doing is this town I worked in had big water tank up on the hill in the town.
Yes.
It was such an eyesore. And I thought, I'd really love our students at school to be able to get involved in an art project
Oh, yeah.
where they could, especially the Indigenous students, put some sort of claim to it, maybe working with a local Aboriginal organisation. I approached one of the local Aboriginal organisations and said, why don't you apply for this grant? And then I talked to Watercorp because they owned the water tank and everyone was really keen. It hasn't happened yet. But I wrote a scope of works, ChatGPT wrote a scope of works, and then a first draft of a grant application and sent it to the Aboriginal organisation and said, look, this might help in your process.
Yeah.
This is, so if you've got some ideas, just cut the work exponentially. Right me this day, 8 o'clock on Tuesday, I'm 10 students from blah, blah, by bus, we'll be back by 2:30. Write me an itinerary and a risk assessment with mitigations. And within minutes, you've got all the bits and bobs you need to make it happen.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Makes life much easier. Though with my experience, I have a set form with everything that you can think of, I just reproduce every time. I just put it into the new document. So I just change the names on it and it covers every single thing that I have to do, and admin likes that, which is, having to rewrite it. We don't go to that many different places, and obviously, our 4th year in this role? Is it 4 years now? 4 years now, a lot of it's now just on rinse and repeat in the activities that we're doing. So that's cool. I know you've covered some of this already, but I guess in terms of AI, and I think I know your answer already, the impact, is it actually creating more equity or causing a bigger divide between different schools or students?
To me, it's leveling out the definitely creating equity, because I've got students that there's no way even to try and talk to them about a teal paragraph or writing a proper letter, modelling it on the board. It was like pulling teeth. Whereas this speeds up the process so much. Sure, they're not going to maybe learn how to write a cover letter, but will they ever? And how many times in their life do they have to? I think it's just, in an ideal world, yes, we could train everyone to be able to write a great cover letter from scratch, but we're not living in an ideal world. And this technology it's like saying, we shouldn't use calculators. That's because a stack of times. Kids they don't need to. I think that, or I believe that the skills they're learning are just different skills. There was a teacher, an English teacher I heard of, that when she was using AI with her class, she would put a picture up on the board and then they had to reverse engineer it. So they then had to write prompts to reproduce that picture. So that's making them think deeply about, what do I have to say? Because their first run, there might be a person in a desert, and it's not going to look anything like until they start picking it apart and really analysing and being specific. So I think it's just different tools that they're using and different brain patterns, and maybe it's all changing anyway with the way they're using social media and Google, and the old days of picking up a Funkel Wagnalls or Encyclopedia Britannica. It's not relevant now.
No.
So I think it's just evolving.
Yeah, I think so. And it's really, I guess, as teachers, how we actually employ it in the classroom was the challenge. And we're still very early days of how to do that. And so the English teacher example is really good because it's taking a problem and forcing them to obviously pull something apart and try and recreate it, which is being a computing. Did you ever teach computing? We would do that in computing. You'd give them something and you get the kids to try and reverse engineer it and try and recreate it in code or something like that. So I think, it'd
be cool. Put it on a piece of toast. Post in the toast, you've got to go one slice of bread.
Yeah, exactly.
Now lever it down, press the lever down, turn the thing up to lot 3, take it out, put it on the plate, get butter. Like, you really have to break it down into tiny steps. And that's the same sort of principle.
Yes. Yeah, that sort of process thinking of when you challenge something, you go through a process to try and get a good answer at the other end. Which I guess.
I've been most teachers are just worried about cheating or shortcutting. And that'll all come out in the wash anyway.
When
What
you
does
read
that
it.
mean? I don't know.
Some schools, I know, it's more overseas, that they require them to put their prompts that they used in with their assists. And that's part of they get assessed according to the prompts they've used, what sophistication and what the output was of it. So it's, having that tool, still trying them to critically think instead of just putting, in the old days, they just put an question into Google and click on the first link and get that anyway. So exactly what they just go watch YouTube. But yes, I think, but like I said, how we use it in the classroom is a real challenge. And obviously, I don't have an answer to that for every learning area. But like I said, how to do that, use it responsibly, but like every technology and every tool. And it evolves and changes, it becomes more capable. But as I do my tech updates on Monday, we see how much it's getting integrated in all the products that the IT companies actually rolling out to teachers, particularly in the Gemini Google space. There's a lot going into their Google Classroom now, which will be interesting. See how that sort of changes.
It's been interesting because programs like, websites like Canva have been doing that for years, that they can see where it's going. And
you can actually get Canva to write you an essay as well. You can actually put it in the text, write a bit. It'll do the same thing as any AI and give you a full, say, history essay if you wanted to. How good is it?
it's as long as the students that you can't just dump it and go, and it's not going to think for you. It's basically, I think of it like one of my first jobs was as a secretary or a PA. And my boss would say to me, go and draft a letter to Jim Bloggs about blah, 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 the meeting we had. And then I would give it to him and he quite often would tweak it a bit, change a little bit, add a bit, and then off it would go. It's like that.
Yes.
To me, AI is just like an assistant. It's a personal assistant. You've got to tell it what you want, and then you have to go and check it and maybe redraft it, edit it, reflect on it. I think the worry is kids that just take the first thing that comes out and just use that.
Well, they've always done that. And even when I'm teaching HAS, now you can't do the first prompt that you actually click on. You've got to look through it and check 2 or 3. Not number 1 link is what they always go to. Oh, that must be the right answer out of Google. Same skills, same thinking. I guess coming near the end of it now, I guess, in terms of what advice would you give to other teachers wanting to get into AI or just starting out based on your experience?
Do some online courses.
Okay.
Because the department's not putting out any face-to-face PD.
No.
Like ACE has been doing for years. Just play with it. I think they actually just have to sit down with it, have a read of some real classroom examples about how people are using it, see if you can do some online PD. Just don't be scared to use it. Just try it out. And what are your most time-consuming activities? Not necessarily feedback or marking. I would definitely not start with that, but just start with, and even creating lesson plans. I haven't found it to be particularly creative, but it is helpful with things like differentiation and sort of additional tasks and just formatting lesson plans. The unis have to be getting young teachers to do their lesson plans on AI because it just structures it so well. I would say get some PD, build some confidence, and just have a go. It's already part of the world we live in and how employers recruit, how training's done. I think rather than start it with your students, get comfortable with it yourself, and it will just create more opportunities. Just pick one tool, pick Gemini, pick Copilot, pick ChatGPT, and just start exploring.
Yeah.
I know there's a bit of fear because the first PD I did at my school a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, it was an all-school first day back, and I offered to do PD to all staff. And basically what I did was told people about prompting and how you do that, gave a very short PowerPoint, and then said, I'm going to pick out the Year 10 S curriculum for semester 1. And I basically cut and paste that into ChatGPT and said, make me a program outline for 20 weeks with essential questions, with links to some resources, and put it in columns, week 1, week 2, blah, blah, blah. And it did it within minutes.
Yes.
And people were like, oh my goodness. And straight after, at his students. I would just say that is this. Do not use AI to write our resources, and just pretty much the whole thing. And I think, did you see what I did? I didn't get it to write it. It's just rearranging what was already in the SCASA website.
Yes.
Just basic was, so there's a lot of fear. And I think people, I know some of the management at my school was, oh, we don't have time to use it. And I was thinking, my goodness, if you knew how to use it, it would save you so much time.
Yes. And your staff time, which is the main thing for all of us, especially those repetitive tasks that you do over and over again. Which
Absolutely.
Is cool.
Now, look, I'd use it for everything now. If I put something into Compass or Sector, I run it past ChatGPT or Gemini just to make sure it's PC. You can't say, Johnny was a rat bag in class today, and I can't believe how many times I've had to tell him to stop running around the classroom. You can put that in, and it'll just make it sound a whole lot more professional.
Most definitely. We'd have to do report comments anymore, but I used to come up with really creative ways of saying your student could not function inside the classroom. It was a real terror, but yes. They had difficulties conforming to classroom norms and things like that. Yeah, nice PC language while trying to say what an interesting time your student was in my class this year or this term. Yes, which is always the way, which is fantastic. Cool. Is there anything else to add before we go?
I just hope that people aren't leaving about it because it's here to stay. I know it's another thing we have to learn and that we're always doing that. But I think for me, it's just been such a time saver. And it's fun to use as well. It surprises me quite regularly. But I believe that as a teacher, you're just going to be so much more productive. And like you said, the admins, it's amazing. I'm hoping I know the department has got their own tool that they're developing, and I actually asked if our school would be one of the model schools, which it is now. And the teachers I think in our school anyway, there are probably 70 to 80% of teachers are using it for various things. Some people are more into the different tools and apps and things within it. Others are just keep it pretty simple with lesson plans and ideas.
But that's okay.
That's okay too. It's however you operate.
Yes.
But I just think, don't be afraid, give it a go and talk to your peers. Talk to your peers and find out what other people are doing because that's pretty interesting.
Most definitely, yes. I agree entirely. And people should find it, I guess, they'll find it to their own level, as they've always done with tech. Get the teacher that just uses PowerPoint and the person who's using robots. It's people find their level, and it's great with all the students have a different experience with their different teachers at different times through their educational journey, which is fantastic.
But you can't say, ban here.
Yes.
It's going to start, it's going to get up. So you might as well embrace it.
Most definitely.
It's obviously still doing your job and making sure students aren't shortcutting and being lazy or cheating. But look, if you control it in your own class and give them specific activities, that will help them because they are going out into a world where it is in use already and has been for years. So I think you're doing students a disservice by banning it. We really should be teaching them how to leverage it in their own lives.
Most definitely. I agree 100% on that. We'll see when the department eventually catches up with that idea in our local area. Cool. Thank you very much for joining me today, Julie. It's been absolutely fantastic. And I know my listeners will really enjoy what you've got to say. And there's a lot of really good ideas in there. And hopefully some confidence to get those teachers just starting out or advancing of what they can actually use it for.
Fantastic.
Cool.
Thanks for having me on.
No worries. Thank you.